Hi, folks. It is Saturday of Holy Week. I just personally call this Silent Saturday because after all the activity of this week, there's not a single word in any of the Gospels about this day. Nobody is expecting anything to happen. Jesus has been crucified. He's been laid in the tomb. All the disciples are scattered. The few women that were there are preparing spices for a dead body. The only people that are around the tomb are a squad of soldiers who've been placed there just in case the disciples would try any funny business, but that is the last thing on their minds. No one is expecting a thing. Couple of things that I think are worth considering about this day of Holy Week. One is, this is the seventh day of the week. In a sense, the Sabbath day, God's traditional Sabbath. After the heavy lifting of the cross and the mighty events of tomorrow, the triune God is resting. It's not that God is worn out and can't do anymore, but this cycle, this pattern of calling us to work and then to rest is a part of God's plan from the beginning, and He's in charge and always has been. There's no reason for Him to change His way of doing things now. So in a sense, this is the Sabbath rest of our God. The second thing that I think may be helpful for us to think about is, as Americans, we like things in a hurry. Quick rising bread yeast, fast food. If the computer is 2 nanoseconds later than we think it should be, it's terrible internet service. God is far more patient than that. God works far more slowly than that in many cases. Israel is in bondage in Egypt for 400 years. The exile in Babylon, 70 years. The persecution of the early church, 300 years. Peter puts it this way in his second letter, the 3rd chapter. Do not overlook this one fact, beloved, that with the Lord 1 day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as 1 day. The Lord is not slow to fulfill His promise, as some count slowness, but is patient toward you, not wishing that any should perish, but that all should reach repentance. And then he goes on to say, what sort of people ought you to be? You should live lives of holiness and godliness, waiting for and hastening the coming of the day of God. Generally speaking, we want God to hurry up. Even with this stay-in-place order, I've got my own thoughts about when this should come to an end, and it's probably sooner than some of our elected officials are planning on doing it. But I can trust that God is in charge, that the things that I long for, He knows about. He certainly wants us to pray and to continue to look for Him. There's no question about that. But we can trust that God's timing is perfect timing. Holy Saturday is the perfect example of that. God bless you tonight.